When you hear the name Jalen Ramsey right now, you're probably getting one or two reactions. Either he's still that dude or he's cooked. But the truth, like always, lies somewhere in between. So in this video, we're going to cut through all the noise. We're not here to hype him up just off a name value, and we're not writing him off just on lazy narratives. We're going to look at the tape, we're going to look at the numbers, the context, and most importantly, how he might actually fit on this team. Because if Jalen Ramsey is playing at a high level and if the price is right, the question becomes, should he be on our radar? What's up, y'all? We back with another video. So here I'm coming at y'all with something a little bit different, but let me know if y'all rock with it. But anyways, let's go and get into the video. On the surface, it might seem like Jalen Ramsey is starting to decline, but as always, we don't just glance at surface level numbers or toss around PFF's grades without context. But I actually started with PFF just to get a sense of what the so-called experts, and yes, we're putting that in air quotes, ranked him in 2024, and to my surprise, he's still up there among the better corners in the league. The grades back that up, but like we always do here, we don't stop there. I use that as a launch point, not the final word. And so when we really get into 2024 for Ramsey, this is a guy who's coming off a torn meniscus late in July and still came back by week 8, earlier than expected, mind you, and immediately made an impact. Despite missing half of the season, he logged multiple interceptions, allowed a passer rating under 60 when targeted, and only gave up 2 touchdowns in coverage. And this is while adjusting to a new defensive scheme and playing behind the Dolphins pass rush. They were at the bottom of the league near us, and these weren't just empty numbers either. He had legit reps against top receivers where he blanketed routes, read concepts mid-play, and baited quarterbacks in the throws he was ready to break on. So the first example I want to look at came against the Jets, where he's matched up on Garrett Wilson at the top of the screen. The Jets are running something called 9-8-9, where the 9s mean 2 go routes and the 8 stands for a post, which is really a read route. If it's single high safety, he's going to break it across the safety's face. If it's 2 high, he's going to keep the post on. He's going to look to split the 2 safeties, and as you can see, it's a 1 high safety, so that means we're running this dig. The Dolphins are running a 33 blitz, so I always say this before, that means 3 deep, 3 underneath, and as you know, these have zone match principles. So for Jalen Ramsey in this situation, he has an outside third. That means he has the number 1 receiver up and out, and if he goes under within the first 5 yards, he's going to zone off and look for work. And the thing I like about this rep, he doesn't allow Garrett Wilson to run the red line, because that means he's essentially allowing no room to complete this throw. And while he did get a hand on it, like I mentioned in my AJ Terrell video, it's not always about getting a pass breakup, it's just making the throw extremely difficult to make, and this throw was hard enough as it is. So once I came to that conclusion, I went back and pulled his 23 and 22 tape. I wanted to see how he looked in systems that reflect what we're running in Atlanta. So in 2023, even though he missed the first 7 games, he came back and picked up right where he left off in LA. He was still being trusted to travel with number 1 receivers, still mixing in reps at nickel, and most importantly, still executing at a high level in a post-snap shift in defense. You can see him reading route concepts well, jumping passing lanes, and also communicating pre-snap checks like an on-field coach. That's just not a vet getting by on experience. That's a guy who understands the architecture of a system that we run. And then in 2022, under Raheem Morris with the Rams, he was arguably one of the most complete DBs in football at his age. He wasn't just a cover corner. He was part enforcer, part nickel, part eraser. Whatever he needed to do on that field, he was going to do it. He was a star role, extensively lining up everywhere from outside corner to slot to box safety. And you could see Raheem Morris use him like a weapon, not just a matchup piece. He blitzed, he played in the run, he played deep, he played wherever. That kind of versatility is rare, and most importantly, it's directly translatable to what we'd be asking him to do here. He already knows the calls, he knows the checks, he's already mastered the disguises of the defense. He really wouldn't be learning on the job. So my favorite example of Jalen Ramsey not just understanding the strengths but the weaknesses of our system came in 2023 against the Patriots at home. So they have a 3-by-1 set with the nub tight end, and they're in the green zone, which means you're not quite in the red zone, but you're in shot territory. That means you're trying to go for the end zone. So the Patriots, they dial up a post wheel slide concept where you have a post route by the number 1 to run off the coverage, a wheel route by the number 2 to sneak in behind the corner, and a swing route, which is usually a slide route from the tight end on the opposite side of the formation, but they just window dress it. You get the same 3-level stress on the defense, and you're really just reading it top down. Vic Fangio dials up his favorite coverage, cover 6, everybody knows it, where you split the field in half and you run quarters to one side and cover 2 to the other side. And this is where the brilliance of Jalen Ramsey comes into play. So in order to understand the quarters or cover 4 side of cover 6, let's give a quick crash course on it. So if we apply the rules to quarters to this formation specifically, Jalen Ramsey will be responsible for the number 1 receiver vertically, the safety will be responsible for the number 2 receiver vertically, the apex defender will have the first thing to the flat, the innermost linebacker is responsible for walling off number 3, and he has help from the opposite side safety. If we adjust the route distribution slightly and we have number 2 break out and keep everything the same, then the assignments change. The near side safety will be able to double number 1. The apex defender will have number 2 out. The linebacker would now be on the push call to the running back since he's pushing strong, and the opposite side safety will still be responsible for poaching the number 3 receiver. If Jalen Ramsey stayed true to the rules of this defense, the apex defender would get out leveraged by this wheel route and he would have nobody over top of him, since you want to have everything capped in a quarters based defense. But Jalen Ramsey watches his film. The Patriots hit big on this same concept in the same area of the field earlier this season, so he already knew to keep this in mind. But the Patriots aren't that stupid. They're going to window dress this concept and make it look different by adding a different formation and tagging emotion to it. And if you look at Jalen Ramsey, he's keeping eyes on Mac Jones and he's not being fooled by it. And once he sees that wheel route develop, he's going to fall off that number 1 receiver and get this interception. And he was one navigator block away from cribbing this for a touchdown. This play sums up Jalen Ramsey as a whole, somebody who's mentally prepared, somebody who understands the game and understands how teams will try to attack him. And it's clear to see that he still got it. To make a long story short, there should be no debate on whether or not we should think about adding him. He immediately makes this defense better. He's familiar with the system. He loves our coach. And he was still pretty much producing at an elite level given his situation. And if you look at the other teams that are involved in the trade rumors, we have a way more favorable situation for him to come to. We have better help on defense and we have an offense to complement it. And it doesn't matter if he moves to safety or stays at corner. He will produce wherever he's at because he's just that good. But that's just my 2 cents on it, y'all. If y'all did enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more. I do upload Falcons content, and with that being said, I'll see you guys later in the next video. Goodbye.